Jessica, good morning. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. We have Kat D'Amico here as well from Trent University. Uh, Jessica Lee, you are going to talk about the scholarships at Trent University. Jessica Lee, she's a recruitment manager at Trent University, so she's an expert about everything that has to do with that scholarships. Thank you for coming, and I will leave you the floor.
Thank you so much, Roberto.
Thank
And
you.
so I'm going to share my screen with everyone and we can go from there. First of all, I would like to say thank you once again for the opportunity to be here and to present about the scholarship and financial aid options for international students in Canada. I am a proud Trent alumna of Trent University, and I also came to Canada many years ago as an international student on a scholarship too. So when I'm talking to you, I'm also presenting from a little bit of a personal experience as I'm able to understand what international students are looking for. So Trent University, which is where I'm working, we are the #1 undergraduate university in Ontario, and we have been ranked #1 for 10 years in a row. Something that a lot of people do not know as well is that we have been ranked #1 in Canada for scholarships and bursaries for our category for 20 years in a row. So Trent University, we are very generous in our financial aid to support international students to their academic journey in Canada. However, for today, when I'm talking about scholarships, I'll also highlight some examples from my colleagues in other universities. So without further ado, let me give you an overview of my presentation today. I'll be talking about budget and cost to give you an idea of how much you should, I guess, have a budget to study in Canada. And then I'll focus in on financing your education and specifically on scholarships for international students. And then I'll end with a little bit of tips for you to start your planning to come to Canada to begin your education. Budget and cost. Now, when a lot of students are thinking about studying abroad, one of the main questions that they would ask would be, how much would your tuition fees cost? And this would vary from program to program and from institution to institution across Canada. And here in Canada, we have 96 public universities that students could choose from. But students come to Canada not just for post-secondary education, some come to Canada for language learning as well. So the tuition fee would also vary from the language schools according to the programs and the terms that they're studying. Student fees would sometimes include health insurance, but again, this could vary. Books and course materials is something that students should also consider. Living expenses, are they living on campus in residence, or are they living off campus in a homestay option, or are students choosing to rent a room or an apartment? That's also something for students to budget. Transportation, how do you get to Canada? Are you catching a flight? And perhaps even within Canada, I was listening into the presentation before by Lakit, where you fly into Toronto and then you fly to Thunder Bay. So what would the cost of transportation be? Personal and entertainment expenses, now that is completely up to you on how much you would like to spend for your cell phone, or if you would like to go to the movies. And also something to keep in mind would be the rising cost of inflation by the year. To give you an idea, here is the average cost for 1 year of studying in Canada. The undergraduate tuition fees for university would be approximately $25,000 for the average tuition fee. And then the average tuition fee for students who are pursuing their master's or PhD would be around $16,000. And then the average living expenses will be around $12,000 for 8 months. So this gives you an idea of how much it would cost for you to pursue either your bachelor's or your master's, and how much it would cost to live in Canada as well. Now, here is the sample cost for students to pursue a bachelor's degree at Trent University. Tuition at Trent, as you can tell, it is lower than the average cost in Canada. we're at $22,454, and our ancillaries are approximately $2,600, and that includes bus pass, health insurance, library fees, athletics fees, and more. Living expenses, depending on the cities, we're recommending anywhere between $9,000 to $14,000. Trent University has 2 campuses that students can choose from. One is located in a more urban setting in the Greater Toronto area in the city of Oshawa. Our other campus is located in the city of Peterborough. So depending on the cities, the cost could also vary. Books and supplies, we're recommending to budget approximately $1,000. Personal expenses anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000. So students are looking to budget anywhere between $36,000 to $42,000 per year. But what I really want you to keep in mind is the amount of tuition and ancillaries which would be payable to Trent, and that adds up to be $25,000 payable to Trent. How can you as a student finance your education? Well, a lot of students have families who plan ahead of time. And so a lot of families start saving and setting money aside for their education prior to you going abroad. However, there are other ways for you to finance your education as well. And you could do that through scholarships, awards, grants, and bursaries. A lot of the scholarships are based on merit. And merit means on your academic achievements, or it could be on your extracurricular achievement, or it could also be on your athletics ability. So a lot of scholarships and awards tend to be based on merit. However, you may find that there are some scholarships that could also combine some financial need too. So financial need would be in the forms of students showing that, yes, this is the amount that I have budgeted. However, this is how much it costs to study at your institution. So there is a difference between what I have budgeted and what it will cost. So that demonstrates some financial need. That could be an example, and different universities would base financial need on different criteria. Now, another area that would also look at financial need would be bursaries. A lot of universities also offer bursaries for international students, and that is based mostly on financial need. Something to also keep in mind is that there are some scholarships that are automatic scholarships, and there are some scholarships that are application-based scholarships. So for the automatic scholarships, for example, there are universities out there who may grant you a scholarship automatically if you are coming in a specific term. Or some universities may offer you an automatic scholarship based on your grades as you enter the university. And some universities may also offer you automatic scholarships into specific programs. So for example, I've seen scholarships for music programs where they want to encourage international talent to come to their university. So they may offer automatic entrance scholarships for their music program to attract that international talent. For application-based scholarships, typically students have to apply for them, and typically as well, there would be a deadline for that. And then another thing to keep in mind would be the terminologies of one-time versus renewable scholarships. Some of the scholarships or bursaries could be awarded just on a one-time basis. So you get it for potentially for your first year, and that's it. Whereas some scholarships are renewable. So as long as you maintain a certain average, perhaps, or a certain grade at the institution, you may be able to renew that scholarship for the following years. And some universities will have a criteria where you could renew at the same amount, and some universities will have a criteria where you renew at a different amount. And this would vary from institution to institution. Another thing to also keep in mind would be the terminologies of incoming student versus current student. For a lot of you, when you think about studying in Canada, you would be looking at scholarships for international students as an incoming student. Now, a lot of universities and post-secondary institutions would also offer scholarships for current international students. So you could apply for scholarships as you're heading into Canada to university or college, but once you're there, there could be a range of other scholarships, awards, grants or bursaries that you could apply as a current student. And one of the good things to know is that most institutions would offer anywhere between partial to full scholarships for international students. So where can you apply for scholarships? Another option would be institutions, like I mentioned earlier. Some language schools may also offer scholarships for you to come to Canada to learn English or French, the official languages of Canada. And some universities would offer it through professors, especially if you're applying for graduate schools. So if you're interested in working with a professor on a research project, the professor may be able to award you with a grant. And again, keeping in mind the terminologies of incoming versus current student too. Here is an example of an automatic entrance scholarship for an undergraduate program at Memorial University. So Memorial University is located on the east coast of Canada, and they offer an automatic entrance scholarship of $4,400 to $12,000. So it depends on the campus that students are applying to, and they have different criteria for it. But the idea for the scholarship from Memorial University is that it's a one-time entrance scholarship, and it could also be dependent on the campus that you're applying to. Another example of an automatic entrance scholarship that you could find is Lakehead University. At Lakehead University, you could receive anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 per year. So in your first year, that's what you're going to receive, anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000. And as long as you maintain your average at Lakehead, you could renew that scholarship and receive it for 4 years of your bachelor's program. Another example of an automatic entrance scholarship will be at the University of Guelph. Now, at Guelph, they offer renewable entrance scholarships. However, do note that over here, the renewal amount is slightly different from what you would get from your first year. So as I mentioned earlier, different universities would have different renewal amounts or renewal criteria. And so here's an example of where in your first year, you could receive $8,500 for your first year as an entrance scholarship and renew it at $4,000 for the subsequent years. At Trent University, we also do offer an entrance scholarship to incoming students, and our scholarships are one-time entrance scholarships. Moving on to application-based scholarships, I'm excited to share with you the applications that are available in Ontario and also in Nova Scotia. And you can find more all across Canada, but I've highlighted a few of my colleagues here for you. So as you can tell, if you apply for the scholarships for international students, you could receive anywhere between $40,000 to $140,000 over 4 years. At Trent University, let me tell you a little bit about our scholarships. So for our scholarships, you could receive $25,000 per year. Remember earlier when I talked about the sample cost for Trent University and how tuition and ancillaries would add up to be $25,000? By receiving $25,000 in scholarships from Trent University, that would cover the cost of your tuition and ancillary fees. So all you have to do is to pay for your cost of living and personal expenses while you're an undergraduate student at Trent. And as long as you maintain a B average at Trent University, you're able to renew that scholarship for an additional 3 years. So a lot of us would have deadlines that you have to apply by. And for York University, theirs is coming up right on February 1st. But as you can tell, I've organize the deadlines so that you can prioritize the different scholarships according to the deadlines as well, so that you can reach out to the different institutions to apply for the scholarships. Most of us would ask for you to apply on our web page, and for our scholarships as well, we would ask for reference letters. So that's also something that you should keep in mind. I would now like to highlight Jose Miguel Capilla Bagatea, who is from Puebla in Mexico. So Miguel came to Trent University on our Trent International Scholarships and Awards. And so what Miguel did was he came to Trent not as a first-year student. Miguel actually came to Trent as a transfer student. From Puebla, Miguel had gone to Austin in Texas to do an associate degree, and then he came to Trent University to complete his bachelor's in business administration and information systems. So Miguel came to Trent and studied, and he graduated last year, and he's now working as an international enrollment advisor. But for Miguel, having that scholarship meant that he could focus on his studies. He could also get involved in various clubs and groups on campus. And through his experiences and involvement, that also allowed him to also gain the international enrollment advisor position at Trent University. So if you're interested in reaching out to Miguel as well, I'll also be happy to share his contact with you because he's always happy to connect with students from Mexico as well. So something to also keep in mind is that for Trent University, for example, all scholarships are applicable to transfer students, whereas there are some universities where their scholarships are meant just for students coming in from high school to university. So it's very important for you to do your research, to check out all the eligibility requirements for you to apply for the scholarships. For students who are looking into applying for graduate school for master's or PhD programs, there are scholarships offered to graduate students as well. So some universities would offer scholarships or grants, or it could come in the form of a research assistant position or a teaching assistant position, or you could also get scholarships from the government of Canada. Other areas for you to apply for additional scholarships and awards would be through research organizations or government, and I would highlight some examples after this slide. For government scholarships, company that you work with, potentially your company may want to sponsor you, or it could come through private sponsorship or local service clubs such as Lion Club or the Rotary Club, which I know are active in Mexico as well, or external scholarship organizations. Looking at governments, for the government of Canada, we do offer scholarships to international students, and I've highlighted a few scholarships that you could look into, specifically the Emerging Leaders in the Americas program, ELAB. And with this, it's open to students who are looking to go into colleges or to universities for various levels. So it's not just for universities, but it's also open to students who are interested in going to colleges as well. And then a number of other research awards that you can apply to as an international student to come to Canada to study. Or you could also check with your local government to see if they're offering any scholarships for you to head abroad. For example, with Trent University, we have a partnership with the government of Mexico for students with the military of Mexico to come to Trent to study in the Trent ESL program. And so over the past few years, we've received a number of students coming into Trent, and they've had an excellent experience of learning English and being immersed in the Canadian culture as well. Here is a list of some external award resources that you could look into. For example, you could check out Scholarships Canada or studentscholarships.org or Western Union Scholars Program. And for those of you who are taking the KIL English test, they also offer a KIL scholarship too. Other ways to finance your education could come in the form of bursaries. And again, this could be applied with the institution that you're going to or external bursaries, or you could also look at loans. For example, in Ontario, we offer our Canadian students a government loan for students to pursue post-secondary education. And perhaps you could also look into something similar with your government or bank. Another way for you to finance your education would be to look at employment opportunities. So in general, as an international student, you're allowed to work while you're studying, as long as you're studying full-time. So you're allowed to work up to 20 hours during the school year or up to 40 hours during your breaks. Some of your programs may also include co-op or internship, where you would be paid for working as part of your program. And the minimum wage would vary across Canada, depending on the province that you're going to, but this will also give you an idea on how much you could get by working per hour in Canada. And here are some places that you could work at either on campus or off campus. So what I would like to add would be tips for you to start planning for your application to Canada for both scholarship and also in general to come to Canada to study. So I want you to start to research the tuition, student fees, and financial aid options at each of the institutions that you're looking at. And then research the cost of living. And again, this would vary according to the different cities that the institution could be in. Research on the job opportunities for you as an international student, either on campus or off campus, and examine your lifestyle and be aware of your spending habits. And this relates to your budget as well. But giving you an idea of how much it could cost could also contribute to knowing how much you may want to apply for scholarships too. So when you're looking at scholarships, I want you to look for awards and scholarships that you qualify and apply for them. Apply for all of them, not just one or two. If you find that there are 10, apply for 10, because you never know, you could get 10 different scholarships and combine all of them to finance your education. Try to fund as much of your education as possible with money that you do not have to pay back. And also plan ahead of time and be aware of deadlines, because there may be scholarships that would ask for you to apply ahead of time. There may be scholarships that you have to apply at the time of your admission application too. And then you may also need time to obtain reference letters. And another way for you to also prepare for your scholarship application is to get involved outside of the classroom. Some scholarships are based on your athletic abilities. Some scholarships are based on your extracurricular involvement. So start getting involved outside of the classroom, perhaps get involved in clubs and groups, or get involved in your community, volunteer. There are so many different options for you. And here are some tips for you as you start your scholarship application. Gather your materials ahead of time. And this could include some financial forms. Some universities may ask for proof of financial need, and that could come in the form of asking for banking, like a budget, for example. So you may need to approach your parents for that, or income tax. So it all depends on the institution. Some universities may also ask for reference letters. So it's very important for you to approach your references ahead of time to give them sufficient time to write you an outstanding reference letter. And then I want you to also reflect on your experience. Now, a lot of students, when they're submitting an application, they'll tell us, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. Great. I'm glad to know that you've done all of that. But what is it about those experiences that would set you apart from other candidates? And that is where the critical reflection component will come in handy. Tell us, what have you learned from those experiences? Perhaps it's communication skills that you've learned. I've seen students working with the elderly and learning to communicate with the elderly, or I've seen students volunteering with individuals with special needs. For example, individuals with autism. How do you communicate with individuals with autism? Or it could be leadership. I've seen students stepping up into leadership roles where it has built their organizational skills, it has built your management skills. So reflect on your experiences critically in your applications. And another tip is to proofread your essays and application. It's very important for you to do that because there are some institutions that would reduce your marks for your scholarship application if you have a grammatical error or if you have a spelling mistake. So make sure that you proofread your essays and perhaps even get your teachers to help you to proofread your essays and application too. And finally, make sure you complete the application. Do not leave any question unanswered, and ensure that you provide all of the documentation requested by the institutions. And with that, I would also like to provide you with additional resources that you could check out. For example, at educanada.ca, you're able to browse all of the university, all of the language schools, all of the colleges offered in Canada. And if you're looking specifically for Ontario universities, the Ontario Universities info.ca webpage is a very useful resource for you as well. And with that, I would like to thank all of you for joining me today. Gracias, and I will welcome any questions that you have.
Jessica, thank you so much for this valuable information. I am pretty sure that most of our students are trying to find options like these ones. Gracias a nuestros estudiantes participantes por participar en esta plática. Yo sé que muchos de ustedes tienen muchas inquietudes acerca de opciones de becas. Entonces, la plática que nos da Jessica pues es muy valiosa porque nos abre estas puertas y nos da toda la información que necesitamos. De hecho, I loved the tips that you shared with us because most of our students are trying to get these kind of opportunities. And they usually know what to do, but not in a specific, the documents and time frames.
Say something, Robert, if you allow me. Jessica, thank you. Yeah, it was a really interesting presentation. But also, as we know, we're going to be sharing the video with all these high schools, not only from Mexico, but also from Nicaragua, Colombia, Ecuador, and not only Mexico City, but different states in Mexico. So this is going to be spread out. And what I'm trying to say to students also is that even though you weren't in the live presentation, we can give you the contacts of all our colleagues at Trent University, so you will be in touch with them, okay, through us or directly with them. That's all okay. So the idea is that these videos will get to all those students and parents who are looking for an opportunity for their education in Canada.
Yes, thank you, Angie. Yes, sure, we will be sharing this video and this information with all of you. And we had a couple of questions here, which Mexican institutions you have agreements with. And I am reading that we will get this information from Kat and from Jessica, because Trent University has many agreements with universities in Mexico. And you can reach Miguel at Jose Capilla Bagatela at trentu.ca. Ese es el contacto de Miguel. That is Miguel's contact information. Y sí, Kat nos está compartiendo. Kat is sharing with us some universities. La Universidad de Sonora, la Iberoamericana en Puebla, UT Puebla, Oriental, Tehuacán, Tulancingo. So we have a lot of opportunities to find scholarships and agreements with Trent University. And Jessica, thank you so much for all this information.
It is a pleasure. Thank you so much. And if anyone, students in Ecuador or Nicaragua or different parts of Mexico have any questions as well, I'm happy to answer. My email is jlee@trentu.ca.
Thank you. Y recuerden, estudiantes, consejeros, que el día de hoy vamos a seguir con Trent University a lo largo del día en las siguientes presentaciones a las 3 de la tarde y a las 5 de la tarde nuevamente en tiempos de media hora por cada universidad. Gracias a todos. Más tarde tendremos pues participación de otros estudiantes, o si los mismos que estuvieron tienen más dudas, pues regresen y aprovechen que vamos a estar por aquí durante el día. Gracias a todos. Thank you, Kat, for joining us. We'll see you later. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Tim and Robert. See you later.
Nos vemos.
Bye.